There's one. Hi everyone, I'm Dick Beardsley. Welcome to the fishing scene. Hey, we're bass fishing, folks. I'll tell you what. Let's see here, what do we got? Ah, not a very big one. Boy, he inhaled that tube jig. Holy cow. Folks, here we are, we're in August. I'll get this little guy back in the water. And this past weekend, the Bassmasters had their Bassmasters Classic. It's the Super Bowl of bass fishing. And I tell you what, I happened to watch it, and man, I love bass fishing. That's the way when I was growing up as a kid, I started guiding on Lake Minnetonka down in southern Minnesota, which is known for its incredible bass fishing. Well, we've got great bass fishing here all across Minnesota, the Dakotas, the whole upper Midwest. And many times it's overlooked, especially here in northwestern Minnesota. But I'll tell you what, folks, the bass fishing can be absolutely phenomenal. Now, what we're doing here, we're pitching out a small 3-inch tube jig, and we're pitching it up in an area where it drops off real quick off of this particular point that we're fishing today. Now, thunderstorms, lightning came through earlier this morning, and so that can really negatively affect the bass. The water here is very, very clear. And so what I've done is I put on some Beardsley Power Bait bass scent, and boom, I got a bass right away. Sometimes little things like that can really make a difference, especially when you're fishing under conditions that are a little bit tough. Now, bass, probably more or as much as walleyes, are affected by lightning and thunderstorms. What happens is, when they move through the area, especially when you get big boomers, and we had some earlier this morning, those fish can feel that, and they can sense that, and it does a couple of things. One, it'll send them either up into the thick weeds, or it'll send them out into the deep water. Now what we're doing, we're fishing, I'm betting that they're gonna be out in the deeper water. So that's why we're fishing on this point. Like I said earlier, we're in about 19 foot of water here. At the other end of the boat, it's in about 7-8 feet of water, so it drops off really, really quick. And we're just working this bait slowly along the edge of that break. Now also, when you get conditions like that, sometimes you got to really work that bait really slow. Now, a lot of people think, well, I'm bass fishing, I got to have 25-pound line and real stiff rods. Well, especially in these conditions like this, clear water conditions, I'm going light. I've got a 7-foot medium light action rod, and I've got it spooled up, oh, missed one, with a 6-pound, that's all, 6-pound Beardsley XL Trilene. And yeah, if I get a big bass into the thick weeds, you know, there's a chance that I might not be able to get them drug out of there, but I'm gonna get many more bites when I'm doing more of a finesse with that light line, small baits. Oh, I tell you what's happening is the sunfish down there are picking up that tube. I'm going to put on a little more of the fish attractant here. You can use this stuff. You can make about 10 or 15 casts, and then you want to put some more of it back on. Like I said, it's little things like that that can make a big, big difference from getting strikes, getting bites, or not getting any bites. There's a fish right there. Oh, maybe not. Like I said, I was watching the Bassmasters the last couple of days, and boy, I'll tell you, there was one particular guy that was fishing an area. He sat there for 3 full days, and he was sitting off of a flat, and there was a little bit of a trough that dropped into about 12 foot of water, and he worked that spot the whole time. 3 days, 8 hours a day, he stayed on that spot and didn't move off of it. He didn't win the Bassmasters, but he finished in the top 10, and he caught quite a few fish on that particular spot. We're gonna work this spot real good. Now, again, I can feel the sunnies down there. The sunnies will be more of a peck, 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 where the bass, they'll kind of just thump it hard or just stop your bait. Or all of a sudden you'll see your line start moving across the water. And when that happens, boom, get a good hook set. We're just making fairly short casts, just pitching that out, letting it fall to the bottom, and just a lift and fall, lift and fall.
More largemouth bass still to come on the fishing scene.
It's time now for our fishing scene tip of the week. After thunderstorms move through an area, bass fishing can be pretty tough. Make sure you concentrate on points that drop off into very deep water for the best luck. There's one. That's a bass. Not a real big one, but not a very big one. What I did too, folks, is I had a purple tube on there, and boy, they're fat. And then I switched over to more of a kind of a watermelon color with red specks. Don't be afraid to change colors. A lot of times you can use the same presentation, same type of bait, but sometimes a different color will also make a big difference. I've got a couple of rods rigged up with some different colors here, so I can just grab one right away. And I also got a plastic worm rigged up. There's one. Whoa, that feels like a better fish. That feels like a better fish. He's hunkering down there. Oh yeah, this is a dandy, folks. This is a dandy. Come here, baby. Come on. Come to Papa. Yeah, that's a nice bass. Nice bass. That's what we're after right here. Look at that. And he inhaled, folks. He inhaled that cotton picking plastic bait, huh? Nice fish. About a 3-pound bass. Like I said, he inhaled that that jig and that tube of mine. We're gonna get this out of there. Get him back in the water as quick as we can. Boy, I'm telling you. Normally, with a jig, you know what I'm gonna do, folks? We're gonna get this gal back in the water, and we're gonna get this cut off. And get her back in the water. Fish like that will be just fine. And it's, believe me, it is not worth, losing a fish like that. When I say losing it, where that darn thing would die, digging in there for a 15-cent piece of plastic and a 50-cent jig. It's just not worth it. So cut that line, get him back in the water, and that fish will be just fine. Within a few days, the acids from that fish will pretty much dissolve that hook, and that fish will be just fine. So we're gonna get re-rigged up here and get back out there. That's a nice bass. Now, with most species of fish, the smaller ones are less affected by storms and cold fronts, things like that. Don't ask me why, but they just seem less affected. The bigger fish kind of get more of a closed mouth when you start getting some adverse conditions. Doesn't mean you can't catch them. You just got to work for them a little bit more. Got a little grass on there. If you do get grass on there, make sure you clean that off. I got my banana seat here, which is kind of nice. Let you lean up against it and kind of rest your legs and back a little bit instead of just totally standing up in the boat. I'm up on a little grass there. There, she just came off of it. And sometimes when it comes off that grass, that's when those bass will pick it up just like that one. This is a better one. Oh yeah, that's a little better one. See, just like I was telling you folks, it come off that grass. There's a nice fish, huh? Those bass masters would have been looking for one like this yesterday. Hey, it came off that grass. I felt it come up the grass, it dropped off of it, and boom, that's when that fish picked up that jig. Nice little bass. Get him back in the water. So, you know, that's a good point there, is that when you feel that jig or that bait start to come up on that grass, you think, well, it's just going to be a weed and you want to reel it back in real quick. Don't do that. What you want to do is just continue to work that bait off that weed until it drops back down, and it can just drive those bass nuts. The reason being is when you've got it up on that weed, you're shaking it loose off of there, it grabs their attention. They can feel that. So they'll come over and take a look. All of a sudden they see that bait fall off and bam.
Coming up, Dick decides to join the fish underwater.
Whoa, there's one. Not a real big one, but a nice fish. A little guy. Come here, buddy, we'll just swing him up here. Folks, these fish, they're sitting right on the edge of the deep break. We're sitting out here in 20 feet of water. That way, in a boat length, we're up into 7 feet of water, and those fish, those bass, are hanging right on that break. They're traveling up and down that break. And they're just sitting right on that break. Boy, if you can find breaks like that, points off of deep water, you're gonna find fish. Bass, you'll find walleyes, northern pike, maybe some big crappies, but right now we're fishing largemouth bass, and it is a lot of fun. Our conditions for today, we have a northeast wind blowing around 10 miles per hour. Our water temperature is right around 72 degrees, air temperature right around 70, and water, I would say medium clear. After the heavy storms that went through earlier this morning, the water's just a little bit clouded up. There we go. We're on him, folks. Here he comes. I mean, they're inhaling these, oh, he just come out of the water. You know what? I'll tell you, he had that down in his gullet in his mouth pretty good. They are just inhaling these baits. Now, when we first got out here, they were really not hitting too well. All of a sudden now, they've turned on, and I mean to tell you folks, when you're fishing jigs, most of the time, you'll hook those fish in the corner of the mouth. Not these bass this morning. Right now, these bass are just inhaling that bait. I got my boat in about 19 foot of water. Now, you might see some boat docks in the background. You think, oh, he's fishing shallow water. Well, these boat docks, they're sitting in shallow water, but at the end of those boat docks is right where the break is. Those are key areas. Not every boat dock is going to produce fish. A lot of these boat docks are sitting up in real shallow water. And yeah, maybe early in the morning, later in the day, you might get some fish in there. But if you can find boat docks off of points like this one here, where there's a steep break, oh man, you've got yourself a honey hole. You want to set that hook good. Oh, he's pulling out some line, this guy. Oh boy, this is fun. Folks, and you can have this opportunity just like we're having out here today. Come here, buddy. Now, these aren't super big fish we're catching today. That one was a nice one. But hey, they are fun. This is going to be a bass right here. Too good of a spot not to be one in there. There's a fish up. There's one right there. Oh, he's coming up. Oh, man. Boy, when they come out of the water like that, that's fun. You can tell when they're going to do that, too, because all of a sudden your line will start coming up. Not a very big one, but sure acrobatic anyhow. Not a bad one. Not a bad one. Little guy, about a pounder. Boy, he came right out of the water, though. Nice fish. Boy, they're fun to catch. And our lakes around the upper Midwest here are just loaded with bass like that and a lot bigger ones, too. There we go. Oh! Oh, you threw that hook. You know, you can talk about it until the cows come home as far as keeping that line tight. I saw that line starting to come up, and I thought I had a good tight line on there, but boy, that's the thing about those bass. They are good at spitting that thing out. Hey folks, if you're wondering why I'm all wet, well, I took an early bath today. I was trying to pull up my front electric trolling motor, and I lost my balance and head over heels out into the lake I went. Hey, that's part of fishing, I guess. Thank goodness I'm okay, and we're gonna see if we can't catch another bass here. Oh, goodness. Oh, I still got water in my ears. Who knows, a minnow might pop out of there pretty soon. There's a fish. It's coming up. Oh, double jump. Double jump. Oh, come on, baby. Yeah, triple jump. Boy, he engulfed that jig there. It's popping out a little bit. Swing him up there. Hey, all right. Hey, folks. Bass fishing with plastics in northern Minnesota. Even after a cold front and a wicked lightning storm and thunderstorm coming through, you can still get out there, and with patience, you can catch some bass just like this. Hey folks, thanks for joining me today on the fishing scene. For my camera gal, Raina Benson, I'm Dick Beardsley. I'll see you out here on the water.